A lot of times we assume that just because we belong to him, what we're fighting for is what he's fighting for. The deceiver is very good at getting us to partner with him against God. I believe we're seeing that very much in these days. It's the only way that's possible, to have believers, all who profess to love the Lord, fiercely opposing one another. It's because somehow the enemy is deceiving us to fight for our own agenda instead of God's agenda. That's what happened with the Apostle Paul. He set out persecuting the church, and he believed he was doing it for God, until the word of the Lord was revealed to him on the road to Damascus, and he turned and came into a line with God's purposes. Same thing with Peter when he was brazenly opposing what Jesus had just said, what was about to happen when he was told them he was going to go to the cross. And Jesus actually looks at him and says, "Get thee behind me, Satan." This is not God's design here in what Peter was saying. It was Satan manipulating it. Peter's good intentions were working against God's purposes, so Jesus had to correct him. We need to make sure that what we are fighting for is what God is fighting for. And I want to take us to Matthew chapter 16. And Jesus is speaking to his disciples. In verse 13, it says, when Jesus came into the district of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say the Son of Man is?" And they say, some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, others Jeremiah or one of the prophets. And so he's questioning them about their understanding of what is happening in their day. And he gets 4 different responses. Some say this, some say that. And so Jesus is asking him the question not because he's really interested in what people are saying, but he's trying to expose the inconsistencies in their responses. It's all different. There is no unity there in their answers. So in verse 15, Jesus asks, "But who do you say that I am?" And this is where Peter confesses, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And this isn't what most people are saying. What Peter is announcing here is considered blasphemy. To say that a man walking the earth is literally God's son, but he declares what he knows in his heart to be true. He speaks it aloud, steps into alignment with what is happening in his own heart. And Jesus says to him in verse 17, he says, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah. Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven." Jesus says, "Simon, you are blessed." He makes this declaration over him while everyone else is listening to earthly voices and opinions, ones that are not unified, ones that are opposing one another. You heard from heaven and united your heart with what you heard. And this is why he calls him blessed. And this is what I just felt God wanting to point out today. Peter's blessing came through divine revelation. This is why he was blessed. We keep trying to rely on flesh and blood revelation. People's opinions. What is the media saying? What is my pastor saying? What do I feel? We're relying on all these other things, and so we're in opposition to one another. But Peter heard from heaven and spoke something different than everybody else was saying. And that's why Jesus says to him, "You are blessed, Peter." God's blessing falls through divine revelation. What is God speaking now? What is he doing? And what is he speaking now in our day? When heaven's heart and earthly hearts come together, that's what he's looking for. We need to hear from heaven and understand what God is saying.